Jared is going to kick us off with a great question about 401ks. It says, I just started investing in my 401k. I think I have it set up right, but it's all so new that I'm worried I'm going to miss something and make a mistake. What are some things that I should look out for?
Well, Jared, you said Jerry, right?
Jared.
Well, Jared, I want to give you a huge compliment. The first thing that you've done very, very right is you're just doing it. Like you're just starting to participate in your 401k. One of the most egregious mistakes that we see people make when it comes to saving for retirement or specifically their retirement accounts is just not utilizing it. It's an amazing benefit. It's an amazing thing. And we know that most millionaires that hit millionaire status actually do it inside of their 401k. So the fact that you're at an employer who offers one and you've made the decision, I'm now going to take advantage of it, you've already avoided one of the biggest mistakes there is, which is just not doing anything at all.
The biggest thing I immediately thought of the financial order of operations. Step number 2, employer match. Anybody who offers you a 50% to 100% guaranteed rate of return, get in there and take as much of that as you can, and even give your employer a hug for being generous, especially if they go beyond the 6% mark. The other thing I thought of the teachers when I first went on a school board. This is over a decade ago. I was shocked at how many teachers, when I was talking to them, they were just doing the cash options on their 403Bs because they just weren't aggressive enough.
Like a stable value.
They didn't understand investing, and they saw the stable value funds, and they liked that it was guaranteed, had no risk. And there's something that I often share with people is what might feel safe in the short term, might be very risky in the long term, and not taking enough risk or understanding investing can definitely work against you. And so I always tell people, be careful with that. And then another part is just full picture. Don't forget about beneficiary designations. A lot of people, we all assume we're going to live forever. You're not. So you need to plan accordingly. Make sure you put some thought into who you want to inherit your assets. And don't sleep on the fact that a lot of times if you put contingent beneficiaries, because you'll leave it to your significant other, your spouse. But if you've got contingent beneficiaries, don't forget about per stirpes, per capita, what those two things mean, because they have different meanings and it impacts who inherits your assets in the long term. And then more than likely, most people change jobs a few times. Don't cash it out. I mean,
that's the one that frustrates me the most. I feel like most people fall prey to.
I mean, and people I know, when I find out, like here's something that's interesting. You see somebody putting a pool in their backyard, and you say, hey, where'd that come from? And they're like, oh, I had a 401k from my previous employer that it's just hanging out there. So I
couldn't access it when I was working there, but now that I've left, all of a sudden I can access those dollars. So why wouldn't I take advantage of doing that?
Or somebody with a new F-150 pickup truck, and you go, hey, how did I had some leftover 401k money from an old job. So don't cash it out. Just because you've started a new job doesn't mean that money should be cashed out, that's free money for you to now use in your current life. You ought to really roll that into or keep that money working for you, even maybe in the old plan, because that's retirement money. That's money that your future self is kind of counting on to build that bridge. And if you cash it out, you've really screwed things up. Bo, I'm sure there's a few I'm leaving on the table.
No, I was actually jotting down notes. I think you hit all. The only one that I see that you didn't hit that I thought about is just because you can do something inside your 401k doesn't mean that you should do it. So a lot of 401ks will allow for 401k loans. Those should be like a break glass in case of emergency, last ditch thing that you utilize. And realistically, if you have a solid emergency fund, you should not have to do that, because 401k loans are incredibly costly in terms of your long-term financial wealth building potential. So even if your plan allows them and you see that that's a provision in there, doesn't necessarily mean that you should take advantage of them. Because keep in mind, retirement dollars are supposed to be for retirement. So the goal is let them begin working for you from right now all the way until you get to financial independence, till you get to retirement. And I assure you, your future self will thank you for that.
And take that active role, because, Bo, I've heard you say this many times. A lot of you guys will read a book, you watch this show, and you'll get very excited about retirement saving in the future. Make sure it continues to evolve and adjust as you get pay raises. If you're saving 10%, 15%, because maybe you're starting out, as you get more pay raises, let's try to do that 60-40, meaning you take 60% for the future and 40% towards lifestyle, so that your money increases your savings rate, your investment rate, so you can get to that 25% as fast as possible. I'm always sad when you find somebody who's on fire when they're 24 years old, but then, they fast forward 9 years, they're 33, life in the messy middle is kicking them. They make a lot more money, but they never actually increased their savings rate or evolved past where they were in their 20s.